Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Alec Clayton. I'm really glad that you're here for this reading. We're here to do a reading from select scenes from my latest novel, Return to Freedom, which is this book. I have written 6 novels, and King's Books has all of them on their shelves. So if you like this one, you can come back in and get all the others. This is a sequel to this book, The Backside of Nowhere. And before we start the reading, I'll tell you a little bit about both of them. The setting is the same. A lot of the same characters show up in both books. The Backside of Nowhere is a story about a movie star who, how do I explain this? He hates his father for good reason, and he hasn't spoken to him in over 20 years, hasn't been back home. He's from a little town in Mississippi called Freedom, which is a fictional town. It doesn't actually exist. And his father has a freak accident while he's driving his car out of a parking garage on the 6th floor of a casino. And while he's driving, speeding, showing off, and drunk, he has a heart attack and he drives off the building. Gets caught up miraculously in a bunch of cables so that he doesn't kill himself, but he ends up in the hospital and he's on death's door. So David, the son's mother, calls him and says, "You got to come home." He comes back home, meets an old girlfriend, meets an enemy from years before, and all of these people who, some of them love each other and some of them hate each other, and they all end up trapped in the same house when a hurricane hits the town. And the house gets blown off its foundation and goes floating down a river. And they're stuck in there together and having forced to kind of confront each other with their own fears and hatreds and so forth. Now, the new book, Return to Freedom, focuses on different characters in the same town, but they knew some of these other ones. And it starts with the same hurricane and then jumps ahead 3 years to when the town is recovering. David Lawrence has built a new condo for low-income people, and that specifically for the hurricane survivors. And these 3 families move in who are very different from each other. And like in the other one, they're all in the same place. So what we're going to be reading is selected scenes. Some of these scenes are maybe 100 pages in the actual novel between the scenes, but for it to make sense in these shorter scenes, I have rewritten parts of it. So I'll introduce the actors, then we'll do the reading. Afterward, we'll have a talk back. You can ask questions, make comments, and then I'll sign books. So, the actors, starting off, Luke Amundson is going to play the part of the narrator, in other words, the author. He's reading what's going on. This is the second time Luke has been a narrator in one of my readings. I did a screenplay that he read the narration for, from Backside of Nowhere. Luke is a local actor. You'll be able to see him soon in the complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged at Tacoma Little Theater.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yes, the work begins in earnest.
As some of you know, I'm a theater critic, and that was the first play I ever reviewed. It was also at Tacoma Little Theater.
Nice.
Different cast.
Different cast, definitely. Jenifer Rifenbery plays the part of Marcia. Jenifer is soon going to be in Reservoir Dogs, the female version, which is very unusual. I think this was written specifically for this production. It was you're probably all familiar with the movie Reservoir Dogs, and the theater company in Olympia is doing both versions, one with an all-male cast and one with an all-male female cast. So Jenifer is going to be in that. She's also been in one of my other readings. She played a movie star. What was her name? Jasmine Jones. Can't remember sometimes. Okay. Samantha Camp is going to play the part of Beulah, and I'm going to let Samantha tell you a little bit. She's doing a thing called the Second Likely Only Annual Sammy Awards coming up in March.
Because everyone has an award show named after themselves that they started. A couple years ago, for my 40th birthday, we decided to do a fundraiser because if you have to turn 40, you might as well have a good time. And so we did it for Tacoma Little Theater 2 years ago. And so this year we're doing it for the Lakewood Playhouse in honor of my 3rd anniversary to my betrothed. And so it is March 29th at Lakewood Playhouse. Tickets are $20. We're going to have 14 awards, probably 15 or 16 musical acts. There'll be food in the lobby. You can have your paparazzi photo done, and that's all included in the price of the ticket. So yeah, so it's probably the last one. Maybe for my 50th birthday, we'll have a third.
Has Reservoir Ladies been nominated?
Not yet. We'll see. Although Jenifer has a Sammy Award from last time.
I have a couple Sammy.
She has a couple of Sammy Awards.
Okay, and last we have Michael O'Hara and Sharry O'Hare, who are married to each other. And they play the part of a married couple. Play the part of Malcolm and Bitsey Ashton. So, I'm going to read a very brief little introduction and then turn it over and let them do. So, the first scene begins with chapter 4 of the novel. It is 3 years after the hurricane that almost wiped out the little town of Freedom, Mississippi. Malcolm and Bitsey's son, Justin, was never found after the storm and is assumed to be dead. Although Bitsey holds out hope that he is still alive somewhere. The town has now been partially rebuilt. David Lawrence has built a new condo for some of the low-income hurricane survivors. Malcolm and Bitsey have moved into the new condo with their daughters, and so have Beulah and her 2-year-old son, and Sonny Staples and his wife.
South Liberty Street, from the southern tip of Freedom up past Dragon Head Cove, where it junctions with Freedom Loop, is a 2-lane road, with the dirt shoulders so narrow that pedestrians and bikers, and the few joggers brave enough to chance it, are in constant danger from speeding cars. Not that runners and bikers are a common sight in Freedom. Freedomites who are old enough to drive do not like to have to work at transportation, not for fun and not for exercise. On the rare occasions when some health-minded souls do take a notion to go jogging along South Liberty, it is not uncommon for a good old boy in a souped-up pickup to swerve close to them and give them a scare. They do it on purpose, get their jollies that way. None of them would purposely try to hit anyone, although Marabi did arrest someone for it once. The culprit was a teenage boy who had been driving legally for less than 4 months. He was directly in front of Marabi when he swerved close to a bicyclist. Marabi could not ignore someone doing something so dangerous right in front of a sheriff's patrol car. He arrested him and charged him with attempted vehicular homicide. The kid was well connected and got himself a good lawyer. And the case was settled with the kid's parents paying a hefty fine, and Marabi hoped that at the very least it would send a strong message to the other would-be offenders. North of the Lawrence store, there's a field of tall grass off to the right. The grass leans sharply away from Little Bay as if the stalks were afraid of the water, and rightly so, because these grasses have endured lifetimes of wind off the bay. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun is already beating down on the pavement and sparkling on the dew-wet grass. It's going to be another scorcher. Marcia Blunt pedals her unicycle northward on South Liberty, sitting high in the saddle, with her huge mop of orange hair blowing out. She spent the previous night camping out in her old VW bus in a field on the shoulders of Walker Cove. She doesn't timidly hug the edge of the drainage ditch when vehicles come close the way other cyclists do, but rather pedals in the middle of the right-hand lane as if she has just as much right to the road as cars, which she does, but she'd be hard-pressed to convince anyone else in Freedom of that. Her bright red shirt and harlequin pants signal drivers to give her a wide berth, and they do. She speeds past the Lawrence store and the new Booker condo and waves at Jamie Lou, who's waving to the nearby bus stop. She passes the marker indicating where Pop Lawrence was buried. The plaque reads, Earl Ray Lawrence was killed and buried here during the hurricane of 2008. In 2010, his body was dug up and reburied in the Freedom Cemetery. Marcia darts through the intersection at Liberty and past the schools that face one another on either side of the street. Booker T. Washington Elementary and Junior High on the west side, and Lawrence High on the east. Prior to the storms, those had been rival high schools. Fights, stealing each other's mascots, and similar shenanigans had been as common as was dating students from the rival schools. Having two high schools in such a small town was a remnant from the days of segregation, so when they rebuilt after the storm, they converted one of them into a school for the lower grades, replacing the old and dangerously dilapidated elementary school, and renamed the remaining high school in honor of Pop Lawrence. The school year hasn't yet started, but there are bunches of kids gathered on the lawns with rakes and shovels and lawnmowers. It's a volunteer work party. They all wave at Marcia as she speeds past. It isn't every day, never in fact, that a clown on a unicycle rides by. A quarter mile further north, she passes St. Michael's. Bad memories of the short time she had attended First Communion classes. Another quarter mile, Beulah is serving coffee in Little Dawn's when Marcia wheels into the parking lot and hops off her unicycle. Everyone in the diner looks up to watch her entrance. A stranger in Little Dawn's isn't unusual enough. Freedom is not on the way to any place else, so travelers stopping by are rare. Plus, with her brightly colored and outlandish clothes, not to mention her radiant, if somewhat unorthodox beauty, and that shock of orange hair like a pom-pom perched on top of her head, Marcia is quite a sight for the retired fishermen and shrimpers and loggers who are Beulah's usual breakfast customers. She strides in with long and heavy steps like she owns the joint. She's almost 6 feet tall and sturdily built. She stops and stands with big hands on hips, feet spread apart. Her face is pale and smooth as marble.
Hey y'all, what's cooking?
What you want?
I don't know, what you got?
We got eggs with sausage or bacon. With either one, you get your choice of grits or pancakes. The usual.
There you go. I guess I'll have me some of those eggs, 3 of them over easy. Are the sausages Link or Patty?
Patty.
Good, that's perfect. Give me about 4 sausages and a cup of coffee, strong and black. And some V8 if you got it.
We got it. Coming right up.
Beulah places her breakfast in front of her.
Thanks, sweetie.
Marcia flashes her a toothy grin. Beulah notices that her face is flushed pink, probably from her brisk morning ride, and her cheeks are puffy. Beulah thinks it's funny that she's dressed like a clown. With her rosy cheeks and big eyes, she even looks like she's wearing clown makeup, which she's not. She is, however, wearing cherry red lipstick. Beulah can't stop looking at her. She can't figure out if what she finds so attractive about this new person. Is it just her audacious manner, her wild outfit, or is there something about her that looks familiar? Has she seen her before, or known someone who could pass for her twin? There's got to be something like that she knows. She just can't imagine what it is. And then it hits her.
Oh my God, you are Marcia Blunt.
There you go. And you're Beulah Booker. I'd know you anywhere.
It's been like forever. Are you living here now? What brings you here?
I had to get away from the city. It was closing in on me. I had to breathe fresh air. Miss the smell of crawdads and muck.
So you just up and moved here?
Yep, just took the plunge.
From where?
New Orleans. Little birdie whispered in my ear that Beulah Booker was running her daddy's diner and that I should stop by and say hello.
Well, hello then. Did this little birdie have a name?
Yes, he did. Abdul Taylor.
He's my ex. He's the father of my son, but I guess you knew that.
There you go. Ain't life grand?
Of course you knew. He would have told you. Were you like dating him or something?
Oh, Lord, no, I don't date guys.
Oh.
It is now Christmas Eve, mid-morning in the Dawn Brooker condo. Malcolm and Bitsey's oldest daughter, Jamie Lou, is in New Orleans with her new boyfriend, Abdul. Their youngest daughter, Molly, has gone shopping. The sun is high and the windows are wet with condensation. Malcolm doesn't have to go to work until afternoon. He gets on his computer and checks his email and plays around on Facebook for a while and laughs like crazy over some clip from the Stephen Colbert Show, Later finds something he thinks is even funnier.
Come here. You gotta read this.
I just sat down.
He's plopped down on the couch, and she doesn't want to get up and walk across the room to read something over his shoulder. He's always finding things on the computer that he thinks are funny. Since she won't bother to look, he reads it out loud to her. It's a list of things to prove you're a redneck if.
That's old stuff.
He continues reading to himself and chuckling out loud while she stretches out on the couch and picks up the romance novel she's carried in from the bedroom.
Don't you have laundry to do or something?
It'll get done. How come it's okay for you to waste time playing around on the computer, but if I lie down on the couch to read my book, all of a sudden I'm somehow shirking my duties?
I didn't say you were shirking your duties.
Yes, you did. You implied it, and that's the same as saying it. You think I can't read your tone of voice?
It's all right for me to play on my own damn computer because later on today I'm going to put in an 8-hour shift at Piggly Wiggly. And you can read your book. Go ahead, that's fine. Just enjoy the hell out of it. All I'm saying is please don't forget to do the laundry sometime today.
It'll get done. And the dishes too, without you nagging me.
It ain't gonna get done all on its own. I heard you were putting those posters up again.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's...
Don't you tell me it's useless. I got to try. There's always a chance.
You're driving yourself crazy, Bitsey. You're driving me crazy, too. You've got to accept the truth. Justin is dead.
Don't say that.
Well, he is, damn it. Why can't you accept it?
You don't know that.
Maybe not, but I know there's a 90% chance it's true. And I know that clinging to false hope is just going to cause us both more and more pain. I don't want to see you torture yourself.
Oh, now you're worried about me. That's keen. Funny how I can't tell the difference in being worried about me and being pissed at me. How could I possibly be in more pain than I'm already in?
That's why you've got to let it go. While you're pining over Justin, we're going to lose our daughters. They're just as good as gone already.
What do you mean? No, they're not.
They ought to. Wake up and see what's right in front of you. One of them's spending all her time off in New Orleans, and the other one's growing up so fast that she'll be out of here as soon as, well... And I'm losing too, little by little, day by day. I see you drifting farther and farther away.
She ignores that and brings the talk back to Justin.
You just don't care about him, do you?
Now that's not true, and you know it.
You hate him.
No, I don't. Do we have to go through this crap again?
Yes, you do. You've always hated him. He was never good enough for you. You fawned over them girls like they was the most precious thing on God's good green earth. But all you ever did for Justin was criticize him.
Like all you do is criticize Jamie Lou and Molly?
He didn't like the way he dressed. He didn't like his haircut. He didn't think he was man enough. You were ashamed of him. That's why you didn't fight to make him leave town with us when the storm came. Because deep down inside, you wanted him to die in that storm.
Don't you dare say that.
You didn't love him. You never even liked him.
You know that's not true. You think I wanted him to die? My God, how can you say such a thing?
You didn't like him. You never thought he was good enough.
That ain't the same thing. Yeah, sure, sometimes I might have loathed him just in the moment. Sometimes I wish I could strangle him. But not literally. So did you.
I did not. I never.
Don't you try and deny it. I remember the things you said about him. Remember? Remember when he dyed his hair and you said you wanted to snatch him bald? Remember when he tried to take up the guitar? We were both ready to kill him then. You said you'd like to hit him with that guitar.
I was just kidding. You know that.
Malcolm gets up and starts pacing the floor. Bitsey stands up too. She grabs the coffee pot and pours more in her cup. Her hands are shaking and the coffee's gone cold, and she spews it in the sink in disgust.
He drove us crazy. Both of us. He was arrogant and hard-headed and disrespectful, and we both hated the way he dressed, and that horrible haircut, and that nasty kid he used to hang out with. Crap, I can't even remember his name. Gossing, or John, or Joshua, or something Gossing. You know who I'm talking about? Well, let's face it, he was never a very likable kid, but we loved him in spite of all that, because he was our son. We both did.
He sits back down. He's emotionally spent but nervous and can't sit still. He stands up again, snatches a paper towel off the roller and wipes up the coffee Bitsey had spilled. They sit down and breathe deeply for a moment.
Do you even miss him?
Yes, I do. I really do.
Their anger has dissipated a little now, and they're just sad. Outside, the sun has vanished, obliterated by a bank of dark clouds moving in from the north. They hear the drone of airplanes overhead. They've been hearing them all morning. There must be some sort of training exercise out of Kessler.
You know, I thought for sure I saw him the other day, riding a bicycle down past the school.
I see him all the time. I see some kid that walks that certain way he had of walking, and my heart skips a beat. See a kid with his hair down over one eye, and I get a catch in my throat. I hear a voice somewhere behind me, and I know it's him. And I'm scared to turn around. But of course, when I do, it's always someone else, and I feel like an idiot. I even turned around this one time, I even turned and called his name once, and it turned out the only person there was an old man with a long gray beard.
That guy that sells the crabs out in front of the Shell station?
Yeah.
Me too. I did exact same thing with that same old guy. It was the way he jiggled his keys, just like Justin.
Yeah, those keys. That sound. I'd clean forgot about that. But that's what it was.
The old crab man must think we're both Looney Tunes.
For the rest of the morning, they uncomfortably coexist. Malcolm fixes his own lunch.
Do you want me to fix you a sandwich while I'm at it?
No, I'm not hungry.
Their breakfast dishes are still on the table, egg yolks dried hard on their plates. Right before he leaves for work at 1:30, they get a call from Jamie Lou. Malcolm answers. Jamie Lou sounds so perky you'd think she was 14 years old and just got asked out to the school dance by the most popular boy in school. It's something even bigger. She says, "Guess what, Daddy? I'm married."
She's married.
To who?
Well, to Abdul, I assume.
Jamie Lou says, "Yes, Daddy, to Abdul." Malcolm reluctantly congratulates Jamie Lou and says he and Bitsey hope to see them both soon. After he hangs up the phone, he says,
One down and one to go.
We're losing all our children.
We're not losing them, honey. They're just growing up. We have a new adventure to look forward to. It's called Getting to Know Your Daughters as Grown-Up Women.
At this point, the story switches to other scenes, and then, much later in the day, back to Malcolm and Bitsey. Malcolm gets home at 10:15. Bitsey is sleeping on the couch, one arm slung out with fingers dragging the floor and her mouth open in an unattractive way, a dribble of spittle. Jezebel the cat is curled up next to her. Their breakfast dishes are still on the table, and there's an empty whiskey bottle on the kitchen counter, and a glass on the coffee table with half an inch of booze. He doesn't have to look in the laundry room to know the laundry hasn't been touched.
Wake up, Bitsey.
Oh, it's you.
Of course it's me.
After a lot of prodding from Malcolm, she finally wakes up and goes to the bathroom to wash her face. He wants to scold her about her drinking. He wants to say, "Look at yourself. You look like a tramp." Her hair is a mess. She hasn't changed shirts in 2 days. He wants to shake her and smash her liquor bottle to smithereens. But he's afraid scolding her will only make her defensive and rebellious. She comes out of the bathroom running her hands through her hair. She wipes her hands dry on the seat of her pants. She says she's hungry, and he gets out the cheese and crackers and puts them on a tray, and they sit close together on the couch with the snack tray balanced on their laps. He turns on the TV. One of his favorite cop shows is on. They don't say anything until the commercial comes on.
Where's Molly? Is she in her room?
Molly?
Your daughter? Remember her? Where is she?
How come she's my daughter when she's in trouble? She's your daughter, too. I don't know where she is. I ain't seen hiding her hair of her since I don't know when.
You don't know where the hell she is because you're falling down drunk. You're supposed to know where your daughter is. That's your job, damn it. She could be off doing God knows what with God knows who while you're blissfully zonked out on the couch.
I'm not drunk. I just had one little drink right before you came home.
Bullshit.
I'm not drunk.
Yes, you are. You're stinking blotto. Look at this house. It's a disaster. You haven't done a damn thing all day.
I had a bad headache. I took a nap, okay? Sue me.
Malcolm gets up from the couch and storms off to the girl's bedroom. He knocks once, waits a second, and when there is no answer, he pushes open the door and sees the room is empty. Jamie Lou's bed is made. Molly's sheets are halfway off the floor.
She's gone. I guess you wouldn't know if she ever came home. I tried to call her cell phone earlier and she didn't answer.
I tried to call her too.
Yeah, I bet.
God is punishing us. He's taking our children away from us. First Justin and now the girls.
And can't even talk to one another anymore. It's like they're standing on islands in the Gulf shouting at one another, but their words are in different languages and neither knows what the other is saying. Marcia is now working for Beulah at Little Dawn's Diner. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Day, and there are no customers in the diner. Outside, the rain has stopped and the sun has made an appearance. Marcia is clearing off tables and Beulah is noisily washing dishes. From the kitchen, she shouts,
Are you never going to speak to me?
I'll speak to you when I have something to say.
You're acting like I don't even exist. I'm right here. Do you even hear me? See me? Do you know I'm here?
Oh, I'm well aware that you exist, all right. I haven't been able to get your existence out of my mind since I met you.
Really? You haven't?
No, I haven't. Don't you get it?
and she pauses again, and this time she clams up completely as another customer walks in. It's Jimmy Dale Patterson. He tells them that the evangelical preacher Sonny Staples and Malcolm Ashton's daughter Molly are both missing. He says folks think they've run off together. The morning news show, Back Bay Morning, on Channel 7 has reported on the missing couple. The reporter identified Sonny as a 40-something-year-old youth minister at Holy Name Missionary Baptist. Jimmy Dale calls it Brainwash Baptist. And he says Molly was 17 years old. A few other customers come in and they all talk about Sonny and Molly. Marcia remains quiet and sullen, which is very much not like her. Eventually all the customers leave. Marcia steps out for a smoke break and Beulah scrapes egg residue off the plates and stacks the plates in the dishwasher. When Marcia comes back in, Beulah attempts to talk to her about Sonny and Molly.
They live in my condo. They're neighbors. I can't. Okay, you're still not talking. Something's eating you. What's with the cold shoulder?
It's about that movie. Why in the world would you rent that movie of all movies?
That's it? You're upset about a damn movie? God, gal, I rented it because I thought you'd like it.
Because it's a lesbian skin flick.
No! It's not a... I mean, I didn't even know until we played it. I picked because it's about strong women. It's about track and field, for Christ's sake. You used to run hurdles. Meryl Hemingway runs hurdles in the film. I just thought you'd like that.
Can you really be that naive? The track stuff was just an excuse to film a bunch of naked women in a locker room. It's every guy's sick fantasy of hot lesbian sex. Drooling, old, fat, ugly men who can't even get it up.
You must really hate men.
No, I don't. Just certain kinds of men. What I really hate is bi-curious girls who can't be honest about it.
Bi-curious? Is that even a thing?
Oh, yeah. It's a thing, all right. Where did you grow up, anyway? In a convent? If you haven't figured it out already, there are a lot of straight girls who think they might be a little bit bisexual. I mean, let's face it, most of y'all are at least a little bit curious, aren't you? You wonder what it would be like to make it with another chick. Hell, there was even a hit song about it not long ago. I hear high school girls were all goo-goo about it. And I guess you're just like all the other bi-curious gals who think lesbians are ripe for playing along because you think we're all sex stars.
So you think I want to get in your pants, is that it?
Yes, I do.
Really? Really? And you think I'm stupid enough to think watching lesbians get it on will do the trick?
There you go. You just hit it on the spot.
Come on. Give me some credit. That's an insult to my intelligence.
Maybe I should give you just a little tiny bit of credit. I mean, like maybe I should give you the benefit of the doubt. But what do I know about you anyway? How am I supposed to know that you're too smart to pull something like that? We hardly just met.
Hardly just met. Are you out of your mind? We spent more time together in the past 4 months than most married couples. I've told you things about myself I've never told anyone. I trusted you with the most intimate details of my marriage and divorce. I do not have any such ulterior motives. I'm just not built that way. If I wanted to do something with you, I'd tell you.
Beulah turns to look at the front room, mindful that they are, after all, supposed to be running a business. It can really be embarrassing if customers popped in and heard them arguing, especially considering what they are arguing about. They walk out front and sit in a booth facing each other across the table, Marcia drumming her fingernails on the tabletop. Beulah takes a deep breath. She puts both hands on the table to steady them. Her hands, fingers stiff and white like claws, are almost touching Marcia's fingers.
If I want to get into your pants, I'd have told you. And I do.
Both are shocked into silence for a long time. Beulah had not meant to say, "and I do," but there it was. She had blurted it out without thinking, and she doesn't even know if it's true or not. And now she wonders if Marcia could be right about why she picked that movie. Had she given in to desires she wasn't even aware of? And now that this was out in the open, what next? She picks up the dish towel she had set on the table and wrings her hands in it and throws the towel down, stands up and steps over to the counter and moves behind it. And Marcia follows her and grabs her shoulders, spins her around and kisses her.
Is that what you want? Is that what this is all about?
Yes. Damn it.
They throw their arms around each other and kiss long and hard. And while they are locked together, James Littleton and George Matthews step into the diner. "Oops," James says, and he and George both giggle. George puts his hand over his mouth and tries to stifle it, and Marcia and Beulah start laughing too, both of their faces flaming red. Of all the people to walk in and catch them in a passionate lip lock, none could be safer. Many years ago, George and James had been the only openly gay couple in Booker T. Washington High School, and they have lived together as an openly loving couple for 30 years. "Hey there, girlfriends," James says. "Could we bother you for some coffee and sweet rolls?"